as we let go, there are different ways, tools, that have evolved around these 5 ways of letting go. And so we'll go through the tools now, just so we can all get a sense of what these tools are. So the first tool is deciding to let it go. And this one tool, even by itself, is incredibly powerful. But it's also incredibly simple. And that's part of the reason we struggle with it. A wise man once said, and I thought I knew who said this. People have told me a lot of different names of the person who I'm quoting now, and I've looked it up on the web and it's never right, so I don't really know who said this. But I really like this quote. Truth is simple. If it was complicated, everybody would understand it. And what we do in life generally is we complicate things tremendously, and we ignore the simple solution. There's another expression, Occam's razor. It's a scientific expression that usually the simplest explanation of what's going on in the moment is the right one. But how often do we go with the simple? We rarely do. So the first way of letting go, of just deciding to, is incredibly simple, and that's part of the reason it's as powerful as it is. So if you notice your mind resisting the simplicity a little bit, saying, oh, come on, you can't just do those simple questions and something is going to change, that's fine. Just experiment and see what happens. The beauty of the Sedona method is you do not need to believe in it in order for it to work. It's not based on belief. In fact, again, as I said earlier, I highly encourage you not to believe it. Just be open to it as a possibility and take it for checking. See what actually works for you. So the questions that we used for the basic releasing are, could you let it go? Would you? And when? That's it. And could you just means, are you capable of it? If you were able to drop that pen a few moments ago, then I know you can. In fact, even if you were just watching this and didn't do it, if you can imagine dropping a pen, then I know you can let go of feelings. So the next question is, would you let it go? And would you just means, are you willing to? And if you're ever not sure if you're doing this on your own, you can ask yourself, would I rather hold on to this suffering, or would I rather let go and have my goals? It's really that simple. And so it's just a choice. And the last question is when. And when is an invitation to decide to do it now. That's all it is. It's just a decision. And with all our processes, we start out with just welcoming what is, because that's, if you don't start there, you don't have really a place to land. And so I'm going to ask these questions of all of us. And please just simply allow yourself to answer yes or no, knowing that yes or no are both acceptable answers. Some of the biggest releases I've seen in seminars are when people say no, and they're being honest about it. The release happens anyway. It's not about whether you say yes or no. But most of us believe that there's a huge difference between yes and no. And we spend a lot of time saying no when we mean yes, and yes when we mean no. So let's just use those words for a minute. Everybody say yes. Yes. Everybody say no. No. Everybody say yes. Yes. No. No. Yes. Yes. No. 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 What's the difference? It's just a sound. So allow yourself to just simply be honest and say yes or no, and follow your heart as best you can. In fact, with releasing in general, if you're struggling with releasing, you can actually even put your hand here on your solar plexus and focus here. It will help you get more in touch with what you're experiencing. So allow yourself to think of some situation in your life that you've been wanting to change or improve, that you have some feeling about. Just pick one. And in this moment, could you just simply welcome however you feel about it? Could you just let it be here? And you might notice that it starts to lighten even from just doing that. And then as best you can, just for now, could you let that feeling go? Just could you? Would you? When? Now, if you were just open to it, you probably already noticed a little shift inside. But if not, don't worry about it. We have a lifetime of practice of holding on. So if you don't let go right away, so what? Just keep doing this and it'll get easier. So again, allow yourself to welcome however you feel about that situation. It may already be different. And then as best you can, just for now, could you let the feeling go? Just could you? Would you? When? Now, again, it probably lightened a little more. So let's just do that 1 or 2 more times. Again, in this moment, could you focus on the same situation, if there's still any charge on it? And then could you just simply welcome how you feel? Could you just let it be here? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let that feeling go? Just could you? Would you? When? Okay, great. So if you were doing this on your own, you would continue using those same simple questions as often as you needed to until you got the relief you were looking for. I've seen people just with those questions let go of extreme fear and anxiety, even lifetimes worth of it, phobias, angers at people that they thought they could never get over, depression, you name it, can be let go of just with those simple questions. It's really that easy. Now, the second way of letting go is welcoming. And again, you can do this all the time. You can simply stay open to life and you'll be welcoming. But there's a process that we've evolved over time that combines, that takes welcoming much deeper. We call it triple welcoming. So we'll go over that right now because it's a technique that's also in the film, so you may already be familiar with it. So triple welcoming is a 3-part process. The first thing you do is you welcome the issue, whatever it is, the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, the memories, whatever you're experiencing in this moment. And then the second part is you welcome all your desire to do something with or about it. We don't realize that our desire to fix what is, to change what is, to do something with or about it, actually just keeps the problem alive. So if you welcome that, the problem starts to unravel even more. And then the third thing that keeps the problem alive is our identity with it. After all, if it was Alberto's problem, sorry, Alberto, not your problem, you wouldn't really care about it that much. You might be concerned if it's your neighbor's problem, but if it's your neighbor's problem, it's not going to be as upsetting if it's your problem. And so if you welcome any sense of identity with the problem, with the issue, with the belief, it starts to dissolve even more. And if you welcome all three things, what happens is it actually feels like something opens inside and starts to, it may even feel like a spinning as it kind of spins out of existence. Because what's actually happening is thoughts and feelings are arising all the time. And then we're having thoughts and feelings about the thoughts and feelings, and they start to fight. And then we're also trying to take sides with the thoughts and feelings. And pretty soon you have, I don't know if you remember when I was growing up, they had these cartoons where when the animals would fight, in the cartoons or the people would fight, you'd see hands or you'd see fur, but it's mostly just a fog. But that's what's going on inside of all of us all the time. And so when you welcome all that, it may look like that for a second, and all of a sudden it just dissolves. So let's do that together. So allow yourself to think of some situation in your life that you've been wanting to change or improve. Some problem, some issue, anything. And then could you just simply welcome how you feel about it? Could you let it be here? Welcome the thoughts, welcome the feelings, welcome the beliefs. Welcome the memories. And could you just let it all be here? It's here anyway, you might as well. And then could you welcome too your desire for it to be different than the way it is. You're wanting to fix it. You're wanting to change it. You're wanting to push it or pull it, to manipulate it, to get something from it. Any wanting at all associated with that imaginary issue. Could you just let that be here too? And then could you welcome too any sense that it's personal, that it's about you, that it's who you are. Any sense of me or mine associated with the problem. And then notice what's happening inside. As you just simply welcome all those three things, you'll notice something just relaxes and opens inside. And if you want to encourage it a little bit, you just simply let go. Let it just unravel. Great. So that's one way of applying the second way of letting go. We call it triple welcoming. And the second way of letting go, again, is just simply allowing what is to be or welcoming. The third way of letting go is diving into the core of the issue or the emotion. And what I recommend you do with this one is especially helpful if the emotion is strong. If it's a light emotion, I would stick with one of the other tools. But if you have a stronger emotion, diving into the core of it can be very, very helpful. And also remember that when you're diving in, at first, there may be a very temporary intensification of the feeling, and then as you go deeper, you'll start to see through it. So again, think of another issue in your life that you've been wanting to change or improve. I know some of you might be running out of issues. No? Okay. I guess that was just wishful thinking on my part. I know most of us think we have a whole collection. So in this moment, could you just focus on the issue and then welcome how you feel about it? Let it be here. And then could you just go a little deeper? Allow yourself to go deeper than the thoughts, deeper than the feelings, deeper than the sensations. And could you go deeper still? If it's still intense, just go deeper than that. It may be counterintuitive. Just allow yourself to drop into the feeling and then go deeper. And then could you go deeper still? Now if you notice that you're starting to pop through the other side, allow yourself to go deeply into the emptiness or the peace or the space. And could you go even deeper? And just a touch deeper than that. Okay, good. Now if you're still holding on to any of it, if there's still some turmoil at the moment, could you just simply let go? But again, what I noticed for most of you is you were able to dive through whatever the emotion was and discover that emptiness or peace or space or isness that you are. And so this can be done anytime, especially if there's an intense emotion that you've been struggling with, just go deeper. At the core is emptiness. At the core is peace. At the core is spaciousness. And again, please don't take my word for it. Explore this for yourself. And the fourth way of letting go is holistic releasing. And so let's do a couple of holistic releases so you can get a sense of how to do that. And how you can do holistic releasing on your own is very simple. If you notice in your life that you can see only one possibility, then stretch a little. And just ask yourself, if this wasn't here or this already had been resolved, or if I could see it from another perspective, then what would be here? And then whatever comes to mind, you take both sides and you just go back and forth and welcome each a few times back and forth, and you'll know when to stop because it's dissolved. They simply dissolve each other. So first let's just do one on wealth and abundance. Anyone want a little more wealth and abundance? Yes? Yes, that's a yes? Okay, good. Just checking. If you don't want it, hold on through this next segment. So one of the feelings that most of us have all the time that's blocking this sense of wealth or abundance is just a feeling of I don't have enough, a feeling of scarcity. And the opposite of that, in my experience, is I have enough. There's an abundance for all. So let's just go back and forth between the two. So in this moment, could you allow yourself to welcome any sense of scarcity, any sense of I don't have enough or I'm not enough? And could you just let it be here? And then could you also welcome abundance, that feeling of I'm enough and I have enough. And again, if that's a little harder, just do the best you can. And then again, welcome any sense of scarcity, any sense of I don't have enough or I'm not enough. And then could you welcome too that sense of I'm enough and I have enough, that sense of abundance. And then could you allow yourself to welcome any remaining sense of scarcity, of I'm not enough or I don't have enough? And then could you welcome abundance, the sense of I'm enough and have enough? And then could you welcome any remaining sense of scarcity, of I'm not enough or I don't have enough? And then could you welcome abundance, that sense of I'm enough and I have enough? Now just going back and forth a couple of times like that sense of, oh, I have enough or abundance is probably a lot more self-obvious to you. And that sense of scarcity is probably a lot less. And again, if you're doing this on your own, you keep going back and forth until you feel complete. You don't have to keep doing it forever. Generally, it takes no longer than what we just did together. So let's do a couple more. Let's do one on relationships too. Anyone want to do one on relationships? Yes? Good. Okay. So one of the things about relationships is that the people that we love the most are also the people that we hate the most. Because when they do or say something that doesn't allow us to love them, we can't stand it. And it brings up the opposite. And in my experience, all relationships are a combination of love and hate. That's the nature of relationship. So and by the way, I know I'm using stronger words, and that's intentional to help bring up the emotion a little more. If you shy away from love and hate, you can do like and dislike. But it's the same. So in this moment, allow yourself to think of someone that you care about. Someone maybe that you think you love. Or someone that you think you hate. You just can't stand. This works on either. And in this moment, could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you allow yourself to love or like them as best you can? Remember, I'm saying as best you can. I know it might be a stretch, especially if you pick someone that you think you hate. And then again, could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you allow yourself to love or like them as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you love or like them as best you can? And then again, could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you love or like them as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you allow yourself to love or like them as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to hate or dislike them as much as you do? And then could you allow yourself to love or like them as best you can? Okay. Now again, if you were doing this on your own, you would keep doing it as long as you needed to in order to get the relief that you wanted. And let's just do one more holistic release on health and well-being. So one of the things that we experience is a sense of contraction in our bodies. Sometimes we experience it as tension, sometimes just as constriction, sometimes it's just a feeling of boundary. And if you're not experiencing any discomfort in your body right now, you don't need to create any in order to do this process. This actual process can be used anytime you just want to feel more spacious inside. So in this moment, could you allow yourself to welcome any sense of tension or constriction or holding on in your body? Could you just let it be there? And then could you also welcome the relaxation, the expansion, the openness that's always inside as well. It's even in the very same spot that now appears tense. And then could you welcome any tension or contraction or constriction in your body? And then could you welcome any sense of relaxation, of openness, of expansion, of ease? Remember, that's what's natural. If you look, you can always find it, no matter how the body's feeling. And then could you allow yourself to welcome any sense of constriction or contraction or tension in your body? Remember, if there isn't any, don't manufacture it. And then could you also welcome the relaxation, the openness, the ease that's always right within you? And then could you welcome any remaining tension or contraction? And then could you welcome the openness, the ease, the spaciousness that's always right within you, as best you can. And let's just do that one more time. Could you allow yourself to welcome the tension, the contraction, if there is any left? And then could you welcome the ease, the openness, the isness that's always right within us? Okay, great. So again, if you were doing this on your own, you keep going until you got the relief that you wanted. So we've covered the 5 basic ways of letting go.